Happy Tuesday and welcome to VA Careers Live. My name is Mike Owens and I'm a national recruiter with the Veterans Health Administration, as well as your host for our weekly segment Talk About It Tuesday. With that being said, I want to again thank you for watching. I know some of you guys have been with us for the last 3 years. Some of you have been, maybe today is your first day, but don't be shy. Remember, be part of the broadcast. I also want to remind you that we are here every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern time. So feel free to grab a snack, grab something to drink, and join us as we talk about careers here at VA. And as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, don't be shy. All right. Leave those comments and questions in the comment section. My team and I, we like to go through those comments and questions throughout the day and throughout the week to make sure everything's addressed. And even some of your questions or comments may be featured on part of the live broadcast. So if there's anything you would like us to answer, or if there's anything you would like us to hear, or maybe you have some feedback or some comments or some advice you can give out, depending on which topic we're talking about, feel free to leave that advice in there. Feel free to leave any comments. You never know who you're going to be helping out by leaving a comment or a question. But again, don't be shy. We don't want anybody to be shy. We want you guys to be heard. We want to hear you. We want to make sure that we're addressing all of your questions and concerns. So again, leave those questions and comments in the comment section. Now, moving on to sharing the broadcast. Again, we all know someone who wants to work at VA. I know people on a daily basis that ask me about VA careers. I know some of you are trying to get on with the VA. Some of you are trying to help others get on with the VA. So let's share our broadcast. All right. Hit that share button. We have 2 hashtags that are associated with this broadcast. One is hashtag VA careers. Again, hashtag VA careers. And the other hashtag is hashtag work at VA. Again, hashtag VA careers and hashtag work at VA. And with that, we're going to go into our broadcast today. So today we're going to be talking about resumes. Okay. And the reason I wanted to pick resumes is because a lot of you all that watch us on a weekly basis, you ask us a lot of questions about resumes. And I felt that this would be the perfect time to kind of just have an episode dedicated to resumes. So the kind of format I'm going to go today is that we've already picked out some frequently asked questions about resumes. So instead of just talking, I'm going to just go over some of these questions, some of these frequently asked questions. Some of these questions were questions that you guys have asked, and some of them are just known questions that people ask about resumes. So we're going to go over that today. But I do have my question of the day, as always. I do have my question today, and I love the feedback that you guys have given us on the question today. So each week that we have a question today, please continue to answer those questions. So my question of today is, all right, I want everybody to tell me, how many pages is your resume, your current resume? The resume that you currently use to apply for vacancies and jobs or positions or whatever, how many pages is your resume currently? All right. This is a no judgment zone. As you know, Talk About It Tuesday, there's no judgment. So if you sit there and say, I have 20 pages on my resume, guess what? We won't judge you. Or if you only have 1, we won't judge you either. But the question of the day is your current resume that you use to apply for jobs or apply for positions. How long or how many pages is that resume currently? So go ahead and put that answer in the comment section. And I can't wait to hear all the different answers that we have today. So as I said, we're going to be talking about resumes today. All right. So again, the format that we have is I'm just going to talk over some of the most frequently asked questions about resumes. And hopefully some of these questions are things that you can resonate with. And hopefully some of these questions and answers can help you. So the first question that I have about a resume is, all right, this person asks, should I use the USA Jobs resume builder or the upload feature in USA Jobs? So if you've applied for a job on USA Jobs, and most of you that apply for jobs here at the VA, you know that you have to apply, most jobs you have to apply through USA Jobs, most positions. So you have 2 options when it comes to submit your resume. You can use the USA Jobs resume builder, which means you plug all your information into USA Jobs and they build a resume for you. Or you can make your own resume, whether it's Word document or PDF document, however, and you can upload that and use that resume. So the question is, which one should you use? So my answer has always been, now you have some people that'll say, hey, I think you should use the USA Jobs resume builder because it kind of helps you kind of put things together. Whilst any advice is good advice, but if you're asking me personally, I would say it doesn't matter, because some of us are creative and we can put together our own resume and make it look really well, make it look really good and make it look really competitive. And so, yes, if you're really good with building your own resume, I would say do that. If you're not good at building your resume and you need some help, then yes, I would recommend you to use the USA Jobs Resume Builder. But with that being said, one is not going to carry you further in the application process than the other. So if you use your own resume, it's not going to carry you further than someone who's used a resume builder, and vice versa. If you use a resume builder, it's not going to carry you further in the application process than someone who's uploaded their own resume. So it's just your preference, and I would just tell you, use the one that'll help you make the most effective resume. So with that being said, yes, either one is fine. Just use the one that you think is best for you. All right. So another commonly asked question when it comes to resumes is, can I use volunteer experience in my resume? Yes. When any relevant work experience, all right, when I say relevant work experience, I'm talking about the work experience that is relevant to the position that you're applying for. All right. So if you have a resume and you have some type of volunteer experience that directly correlates with the vacancy that you're applying for, yes, put it. As a hiring manager, I will look over all of your paid experience and I will look over all of your volunteer experience. And if your volunteer experience helps propel you to the top of the list of qualified candidates, guess what? I will look over that and I will use that, and I will help that for your case. So again, if you have volunteer experience that is relevant to the position or the vacancy that you're applying for, please use it. I mean, anything that you have that directly ties to the vacancy that you're applying for, please put it in your resume, because with the amount of applicants that apply for each of our positions here at the VA, any little thing the more information that you have that's relevant to your to the vacancy that you're applying for, that can help you put to the front. Don't shortchange yourself. So please, if you have paid work experience and unpaid work experience that directly correlates and helps you and ties to the vacancy that you're applying for, yes, please go ahead and put that work experience, that volunteer experience inside of your resume. So our next question that we're going to go over today is that it says, do I need the specific date of when I started a position and when I finished? So yes, I will say that it's highly recommended. And again, I will say highly. It is highly recommended that when you put any work experience in your resume, that you have a start date for that work experience and you have an ending date. Now, for the work experience that you're currently in, put your starting date, and you can put, let's say you started in January of 2021. You can put January 2021 through the present. You can put the word present in there. But yes, every work experience that is listed in your resume should have a start date, and it should have an ending date. So yes, please. And I'm gonna tell you, as a hiring manager, we look at that stuff. That's little stuff that people may think, okay, that really doesn't matter, but it really does. So again, please make sure that all of the work experience that you have in your resume, again, whether it's paid or unpaid, make sure that that work experience has a start date and an ending date. Again, if it's a position that you're currently in, put your start date, and you could put through present. So again, if I started a job in January 2021 and I'm still in, yes, you can put January 2021 to the present. Now, as far as the specific date, yes, if you remember the exact date that you started, yes, go put it in there. But there's nothing wrong with putting the month and the year. So let's say you started your current position in January of 2021, but you can't remember did I start on the 1st or did I start on the 5th? Did I start on the 10th? All right, you may not be able to remember the specific date, but if you put the month and the year, that's totally fine. So again, don't stress about the actual specific date, because if you did start a job in January and you put January 2021, it's still accurate information because you started that job in January of 2021 and you have the month and the year, and you're totally fine. So don't stress about that. So we have another question. This is a really good one. All right. As you know, that we talk about tailoring your resume and making sure that you have the information that's relevant to the job vacancy. All right. So a lot of times, if you read a job vacancy or job announcement on USA Jobs, it'll have the word specialized experience. So the next question is, what is specialized experience? All right. Because again, if you read through a job opening or a job announcement on USA Jobs, it will show you a section that says specialized experience, and it will have a maybe bullet points or have a few things in there that's called specialized experience. So what specialized experience is the type of work, your work experience that's directly tied to the position that you're applying for. So that's what it is. It's if you read that vacancy, and that vacancy says, okay, I want somebody that served as the vacancy says, I want someone that served as a supervisor in their past work experience, or I want someone that can type 75 words per minute. And I want someone, there's certain things there's certain specific things that hiring managers are looking for. Now, a lot of job announcements, they're more general and they're more broad. And, some things you're going to learn once you get on the position. But there are some things that the hiring manager wants you to have the first day on the job. So if the hiring manager says, I want somebody that has 75, that can type 75 words per minute, you have to have that experience that day that you get hired. If they say they want somebody that has supervisory experience, someone that was a team leader, someone that was a supervisor at any of their past jobs, they want you to have that experience right then and there. So that's a specialized experience. That's that experience that hiring manager needs you to have on day one. And if you have that specialized experience when you're applying for a job, that's the experience that you want to make sure you put at the top of each of your job experience bullets in your resume. So again, look over that specialized experience. Make sure that specialized experience is highlighted in your resume. You don't want it buried under stuff that's not relevant to the job announcement. So if you see that this hiring manager wants certain things, they want you to have certain skill sets for day one, and you have those skill sets, make sure in your resume those skill sets are highlighted so that when that hiring manager looks at your resume, that's your specialized experience that relates to that job announcement jumps out at that hiring manager as soon as they read your resume. So yes, so specialized experience, again, is that specific experience that hiring manager needs you to have on day one that's relevant to the job that you're applying for. So again, please, if you have specialized experience, if you have what that hiring manager is looking for, make sure that you highlight that in your resume, and make sure that your resume, make sure it jumps out at the hiring manager when they look at your resume. All right. So speaking of specialized experience, the next question is, should I specialize my resume or keep it general? And if you've been watching Talk About It Tuesday for the last 3 years, you know my answer to that. All right. You should always specialize your resume. And I don't normally use the word specialize. You guys know I use the word tailor. I think at this point, if you look in the dictionary and you look up tailor my resume in the dictionary, you might see my face because I've said that so many times. But you can have a general resume, but make sure you tweak that general resume every time you apply for a job. So yeah, build a resume with all of your work experience, but don't submit that resume when you're applying for a job. Again, read the job announcement, read what the hiring manager is looking for, read what type of candidate they want, and make sure you put that information into your resume. Now, don't lie, obviously, and don't copy and paste, but make sure you use your own words to show the hiring manager that you have that specialized experience that they're asking for in the perfect candidate. So yes. So should I have a specialized resume? Yes, you should always submit a specialized resume instead of submitting a general resume, because again, a general resume may not highlight the specialized experience that the hiring manager is looking for. And you may have that specialized experience, but a general resume sometimes don't highlight that special information. And that can cause you to not get an interview. And obviously, if you don't get an interview, that's most likely you won't get the position that you're applying for. All right. So let's see what we have here. So some other ones is what are keywords? What are some resume keywords I should use? All right. So again, that goes back to reading the job announcement. So again, and I've been guilty of it in the past. So remember, this is no shame against anyone that's watching this, because a lot of this stuff that I talk about is some of the mistakes that I've made in the past. All right. You should always read the whole job announcement. I remember when I was younger, when I was younger, and I know some of you probably saying, well, you're still young. Well, I'm 41 years old right now. So let's go back to when I was like 25 years old. All right. So that was 16 years ago. I would see a job and I would see a job title and I would say, you know what? I held this job title. I'm gonna just go apply for this position. All right. I didn't look in I didn't look at the job announcement. The only thing I did was fixate myself on the job title. And that's another piece of advice that I'm gonna give you guys is never get fixated on the job title itself, because you can have 10 announcements or 10 vacancies with the same job title, and even though they hold the same job title, each hire manager may be looking for 10 different type of candidates. So even though they have all 10 of the job announcements have the same job title, each of those 10 vacancies may be different. They may look different. So, but what you want to do is that you want to read the job announcement so you can see what's the key theme. What type of candidate are they looking for? Okay. Are they looking for someone that has supervisory experience, or are they looking for someone or is this more of an entry level position? Is this someone that they're looking for someone that has a lot of experience in this career field, but they don't want to be a supervisor? And look at the key words and the key themes that are listed in that job announcement, and make sure those, again, don't copy and paste each of the bullets word for word. But if you see that there are some keywords that are constantly being used throughout that job announcement, make sure you put that in your resume. All right. Again, don't copy and paste bullets word for word. Anything you put in your resume should be something that you've actually done in your past work experience or your present work experience. But sometimes you need help knowing how to articulate that. And again, the way is use some of those keywords. Use those keywords. So when the automated system at USA Jobs is going through those resumes, they can pick up on those keywords, and then you can get forwarded to the hiring manager. But again, look at the key theme of, like, let's say the key theme of a job announcement is that this person is looking for someone that has a lot of supervisory experience. All right. Yes, you know the work, but do you have a lot of supervisory experience? And let's say I used to be a supervisor in every position that I've been in, but I don't clearly articulate that, then I won't get hired because I didn't clearly articulate that I have a lot of supervisory experience. And then I can't blame anybody but myself. I can't say, well, I have supervisory experience. Why didn't they hire me? And then I go say, they the famous thing is at the VA is that a lot of people say you have to know someone to get in the door. That's not true. I didn't know anyone that here at VA when I got hired. And I know a lot of people that didn't know anyone. But the problem comes in is that a lot of people, what your work experience is, but you don't know how to clearly articulate it. And that's why a lot of people fail to make it to the hiring manager, because although you know what you've done in your work history, you have to be able to clearly articulate that on a resume, on a piece of paper. So please make sure you don't rush your resume and have somebody read through it. Have 2 or 3 of your friends, if you know some HR professionals or whatever, have them read through your resume and help you put that resume together. Because again, you know what you've done in your past, but me as a hiring manager, I don't know what you've done. I can only go off of what you've written on your resume. And if you're not a person that can't clearly articulate that, then again, it's not my fault as the hiring manager. So that's why I'm giving you the tools to make sure, please be able to articulate your work experience. So if you are qualified and highly qualified for vacancy, that your resume actually portrays that you're highly qualified for that vacancy. All right. And let's see okay. So here's a good one. I like this one. It says, what do I write if I don't have any experience in the job field that I'm applying for? So again, I'll repeat that question. It's asking, what do I write on my resume if I don't have any experience in the job field that I'm applying to? So I know the first thing some of you are going to ask is, well, why would I apply for a job I don't have any experience in? There's many reasons why people do that. And one of the reasons that people want to get that foot in the door position. All right. That foot in the door position. All right. So again, sometimes those entry level or those foot in the door positions may not be something that it may not be a position that you have a lot of experience in, but you have a lot of general work experience that is helpful to that position. So I'll use myself, for example. When I first came into the VA, I got hired in the I got hired at the New Orleans VA in the Community and Public Relations Office. And what my job title was, at the time, the Community and Public Relations Office was over the volunteer service. So I was a VA employee, but I was in charge of onboarding, training, and placing volunteers into the different departments in the hospital here at New Orleans. But it was under the Community and Public Relations. Now, my background before VA was all community and public relations. I was a public affairs specialist in both the Army and the Air Force. I had worked at a local news station here in New Orleans before I got hired on the VA. So I had a bunch of public relations and public affairs experience. But for some reason, I could not get a position as a public affairs specialist at VA. Every time I would get interviews, but for some reason I would never get hired. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna just start over, and I'm going to apply for some positions that I may not have that specialized experience, but they're so entry level that if you have generic work experience, you can kind of get into the door. So that's what happened. So I knew that this position was under the Office of Community and Public Relations, even though it wasn't a public affairs position itself. So I highlighted all of my public affairs experience. I highlighted all of my work experience. You know, I highlighted my office tasks, like things that I'm good around at the office, my words per minute that I can type, my knowledge of the general, the Microsoft platforms that you use, any general office stuff, like if you can use a fax machine, can you use a copier? You know, I just threw all that stuff in there, just as a Hail Mary. But you know, that got my foot in the door. I learned how to be, and I did the best that I could as a volunteer coordinator with the VA. And then eventually I moved up into positions, and I moved up to where I am now. But if you are applying for an entry-level position, or you're applying for one of those foot in the door positions where you feel like I can get in even though I don't have that specialized experience, just make sure you articulate everything you've done just make sure you highlight everything you've done in all of the positions that you've had, all right? Because again, even though you may not have the specialized experience for that entry-level position, but your hiring managers, sometimes they're willing to take a chance on someone that just has a good history of work experience. It doesn't have to be any specific work experience, but if you have just a good history of staying on jobs and doing good on jobs, and just you have a plethora of work experience, even though it's not specialized to that position that you're hiring for. If it's an entry-level position, then a lot of times the hiring manager will take a chance on you because they see your work ethic. Okay, sometimes it's not about for these entry-level positions. It's not always about the specialized experience, but a lot of them are. So I won't count out the specialized experience. But what I will say is that if you are trying to do an entry-level position, make sure that you highlight all of your information to make sure that you have a strong work ethic, and your strong work ethic shows in your resume. Because sometimes if you can just articulate that you have a strong work ethic, then that can get you a entry-level position, even if you don't have the specialized experience. So I do like that question, because I know a lot of you do apply for foot in the door positions, as we call them, or you apply for those entry-level positions. So again, just make sure that you have your general work experience, and just make sure that your resume, even though it may not have the specialized experience for that entry-level position, just make sure that it at least shows that you have some great work ethic. All right. So with that being said, I have a few tips. I'm gonna just some few tips to help you with your resume. All right. So don't put too much information in your resume. All right. It's, we can debate on how long or how short a resume should be, but I would just tell you, make sure your resume has your relevant work experience. All right. Some of that fluff we put into our resume just kind of make it look longer. Some of that fluff isn't needed. And sometimes that fluff can make our resume too long, and that causes us not to get hired because it's too much information for a hiring manager to read. So again, have your relevant experience and try to not have so much fluff. All right. Try to be creative when you build your resume. All right. Creativity is good. All right. If it looks like, don't make your resume hard to read. Don't make it look like a book report where it's just a bunch of paragraphs of words and there's like really no format. And now your hiring manager has to look at, okay, I see all these words. Where's the job title? Where's the start date and the end date? It just looks like a bunch of paragraphs and has no format. And if it makes the hiring manager, if it makes your resume hard to read, then that's a good chance that you won't get hired. Because if, as a hiring manager, if I have to go look for the information and I have to go deeply search for the information because you formatted your resume wrong, then I probably won't look over it, and I'll probably just put it to the side, because you want to make sure, you have to realize, the hiring manager, we're looking over a lot of resumes, and you want to make sure that it's format and it's easy to read. All right. Again, fix spelling mistakes and grammatical errors. All right. Don't have any mistakes, because as a hiring manager, if I look through your resume now, if I see a couple of grammatical mistakes, I'm not going to ding you on that, because I understand that we all make mistakes. But if your resume shows a consistent set of grammatical errors or spelling mistakes, then I'm going to say, you know what, this person looks like they don't truly value their work, and I won't hire you. Because again, we all make mistakes, and if it's just a couple of mistakes, that's fine. But if your resume is full of grammatical errors, it shows that, okay, maybe this person don't pay so much detail to their work. All right. Make sure you don't have any inaccuracies in your qualifications. So if I go and I look at a job title and I call your former boss and I read your resume to your former boss, and they tell me that, hey, this person never did this stuff, or this person never held that job title, then guess what? You're lying on your resume, and then obviously you won't get hired. So again, you don't have to put in your age. No, you don't have to put your age in your resume. So again, don't put your age in your resume. For those of us that served in the military, and I said us, don't have military jargon in your, I don't know what the operations are. Well, I do, but a lot of hiring managers, they don't know what the operation officers is. They don't know what a J1 or S1 or S3 or a supply sergeant, all that's military jargon. They don't know, don't say you work for USAREC, which is United States Army Recruiting Command, obviously. But take all that acronyms, take that military jargon out, and find out what are the civilian terms for those words or that jargon, and put that in your resume. Because again, even though I served in the military, I may not understand the military jargon from a service I never served in. So again, just cut out all military jargon. And here's another one. And I know you're gonna say, Michael, this is obvious, but it's not obvious to everyone. Make sure your contact information is correct in your resume. I know a lot of times we may have the same resume, and we may tweak the resume. I'm getting tongue tied. We may tweak the resume for each position, but sometimes we forget about the contact information. Maybe we've recently changed phone numbers and we didn't even think to go change it on our resume. So now your hiring manager wants to hire you, but they got an old number, or they have an email address that you don't use. Make sure the email address that you have on your resume is an email address that you check on a regular basis, and make sure your phone number and everything is up to date. All right. So with that being said, let's see if I have any questions. I have one question. How long does it take if picked for a job for someone to contact you? Okay. So if I'm a hiring manager and I've selected you here at the VA, normally the process is the interview board selects you. The hiring manager says, okay, this is the person I want. Then we send your name to human resources. Me as the hiring manager, I won't contact you to tell you got the position. I send it to human resources, and I let human resources do their magic. Now, that magic may take a day. That magic may take a week. That magic may take 2 weeks. It just depends on the workload or the priority of the hire of human resources at that time. But again, it can take anywhere from a day to maybe a month or two. I mean, I know people that got contacted maybe 3 months after they were selected for position. But again, the hiring manager has no control over that, because they send that information over to human resources. All right. And I have one more question, and then we'll get out of here. Is it important to include a cover letter? Yes. Even if that job announcement does not require you to have a cover letter, I would always say a cover letter will always help you. Is when it comes to that, it's always good to have it than to not have it. So yes, but make sure your cover letter is tailored to the position. Don't have a general cover letter. But yes, a cover letter is important. So with that being said, we've now reached the bottom of the hour. Again, I thank you all for tuning in to Talk About It Tuesday. We did have a question of the day. My question of the day is, if you have a resume that you currently use to apply for jobs, how many pages is your resume? And go ahead and put that in the comment section. Again, this is a no judgment zone. So just go ahead and put that in a resume. I appreciate everyone for watching today. I appreciate all the feedback that you give us. So with that, if it's Tuesday, we're going to talk about it, and we will see you on next week. Have a great day.